Wow. It's so heartening to see the hall so full. And I think I have to thank ET for doing what they did. I have such a power-packed panel today. Great leaders from hospitality, airlines, travel, from the credit card business. And we're going to talk about tourism. We had such a power-packed and such an inspirational speech from the tourism minister earlier today. And he sort of laid some of the paths that India is likely to take as we go forward. But just to quickly set the context, we all know we're going to be the third largest economy in the world very shortly. 3 years down the line, we'll cross the 5 trillion mark. And a lot of good things are positioning India into a global sort of powerhouse. On the domestic tourism front, there's a lot to cheer about post the debacle we had during COVID. But on the international tourism front, I think there is still a fair amount of work that we need to do. We are ranked, and this is pre-COVID, 24th on the UN WTO World Destinations, about 11 million foreign travel arrivals, and on the global share, we are at around 1%. So a lot more that we need to do to bring tourism into the same stature as the rest of the country seems to be going. I'm going to start with you, Rajesh, to get a sort of a 30,000 feet overview on India as a destination. But before I do that, I have to congratulate you, all of your colleagues in MakeMyTrip and the Department of Tourism for that absolutely stunning new campaign that you've started, the India Homecoming. If anyone of you has not watched that, I'd seriously urge you to watch it. It'll warm the cockles of your heart. But back to you, Rajesh. Give us a sort of perspective on India as a destination.
Right, thanks, Mandeep, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, it was truly inspiring session right after the lunch, and because of which I think we have the crowd in the hall, which is great for us. Yeah, and thank you, Mandeep, for the compliments on the campaign as well. Yeah, I think it did actually touch the right chords at everybody's heart when we were talking about. We saw that opportunity with the NRIs out there, and the occasion was 15th August, so couldn't have been better occasion for us to be able to do it. But that's just the humble beginning, to be honest. But like you were talking about the economy first, right? So I think it's the fact today. I don't think we have to think too much about it, that India is on the world map as far as the economy is concerned. We're getting all the attention from every corner, be it political leaders of the world, or it is investors community, from the entire world, sort of looking at and investing into our economy, because they see the size of the opportunity and we see the robust growth of the economy. So we are definitely there on the map, and we'll continue to keep growing. The projections and the outlook seems to be robust as well. When it comes to tourism, and specifically, let's say, inbound tourism, I think there is a lot that we still need to do. Just to throw some numbers with you first, just to put things in perspective, while domestic tourism is back on growth path already, the international tourism, just from an outbound perspective, is also back on growth path already. The inbound tourism, believe it or not, given the COVID situation that we had, the industry sort of showed a lot of resilience. We're still at about 85% recovery as compared to the 2019 levels, right? So we get about 9.8 million, close to about 10 million tourists, and we used to be at about 11 or a little over 11 million tourists, foreign tourist arrivals in 2019. So, but the good news on top of that is that the 23 over 22 was like 300% growth. Right, so clearly the trajectory is there now. We are sort of getting into the finishing the recovery path and getting into the growth zone, even for the foreign tourist arrivals as well. But if you really see at the 30,000 feet level, there are a few things that are very, very important, because I think the foundation is nicely set for the country. If you think about tourism, the three things that you would see, and you can do ChatGPT, which is the buzzword these days, and you will find the same answers. You know, what is that people see? And I think Honorable Minister was sort of trying to allude to that as well. You know, there's history, culture, attractions. That's the first thing, because the country has to be attractive. And I think there's a big tick mark there as far as we are concerned, right? So India has got huge amount of history, culture, heritage, you know, monuments, attractions, you name it, we have them all. I don't think we have to worry about that at all. And then the second thing that everybody sort of looks at when they have to sort of visit any country is the easy access to the country, right? You know, the connectivity, the easy access, just you know, hassle-free, friction-free sort of experience on, I don't have to really think too much before I have to visit the country, right? I think we've started our journey there with e-visas going around, you know, opening up, beginning to sort of open up now more and more. I think a lot more that has to be done on that front as well. And then the third part is all about experience. You know, so what kind of experience that I want to have it when I visit a particular country. And again, on that part, you know, one part of the sort of journey that has started and accelerated in the last 10 years is about infrastructure, the quality of infrastructure. And I think we are getting there with the, you know, a lot of the new airports, the road infrastructure, the expressways, the highways, and so on and so forth. But I have to say that, you know, there is a lot more. There's significant amount of headroom on that front that we will have to do. Now, all of this is in the context of if we want to put India, given that the number one is a big tick, that, you know, we have it in all in terms of what people can come and see and visit and do, including entertainment, if you will, and the nature. But unless we are able to sort of accelerate the pace on number two or number three to improve the quality infrastructure further, you know, in-destination experience, and be able to then sort of you know, open up the country for a lot of the country nationals, and then as we sort of, you know, go on that journey and we accelerate the pace, then we have to showcase that. We have to create awareness. We have to change the perception of the country, because people just also worry about security and safety and so on and so forth as well, right? So, which is, I would say, you know, I would put it in the bucket of experience as well. So I think those are the two things that we still need to do a lot of work on.
Absolutely. Puneet, I'm going to come to you. You know, we keep talking about all the infrastructure, and truly, I think in independent India, I don't think we've seen this kind of you know, impetus or focus on developing infrastructure, both from the government and the private sector. Be it, of course, our road network or the additional trains, the improvement of our stations, the world-class airports, sports stadiums, convention centers, all of which augurs very well for the nation as well as for tourism as well. How do you think, Puneet, we can leverage these better from a global context?
I think there is one word that will describe the development of the infrastructure for tourism in the last 3 to 5 years is just outstanding. I think we could not have asked for anything better, and the single biggest beneficiary of the growth of infrastructure is hospitality. So I think, and then when hospitality grows, it creates a lot of jobs. It's the biggest multiplicator of jobs in the world. There's nothing new. It's been proven again and again. And those are jobs from, you know, unorganized sector to organized sector to, you know, vegetable suppliers to the shikarawala and the, you know, the rickshawalas in Banaras, etc., etc. But more importantly, I think we need to have a clean base for our statistics. I agree with my friend Rajesh and whatever he said, but honestly speaking, that 10 million figure is not tourists coming into India. At least half of them are people coming here for business, whether they get counted as delegates of G20 or for other businesses, because a lot of international companies have offices in India, and it's growing very rapidly. Another quarter is the Indian diaspora, living outside of India, each time they come to visit parents or Dussehra or Diwali or Christmas, they get counted as a new arrival. A real tourist, we have not even started properly. So the opportunity is immense. The growth of infrastructure is great. The building of Yashobhumi and Bharat Mandapam and Geo and the stadiums, etc., is fantastic. The Vande Bharat trains and the renaissance of the train stations is phenomenal. तो कह सकते हैं कि अभी पिक्चर शुरू हुई है, बाकी नहीं है, अभी शुरू हुई है. And I think people will be surprised with the success this sector is going to witness in the years to come. Of course, there will be headwinds, but a lot of good is just beginning.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Neelu, I'm going to come to you because clearly, if we have to bring more people into the country, whether tourists or even those who come on business travel and on medical tourism or whatever else, we'll need more flights, right? There's been obviously a great amount of infrastructure on your sector. We've grown from about 50 airports operating to more than 150 and counting. Our number of aircrafts is growing from 700 odd to 1,200 in the next few years. We've placed the largest, order of airlines in the history of civil aviation. Not only that, our infrastructure is now world class. Even our airports in tier 2 and tier 3 cities compare well with that you see, in more developed nations. Now, with that in perspective, tell us, and we get, I think, about 600 flights a day which are coming in from international destinations. What do we need to do to get those people into India if we are going to grow tourism and if the demand is what it appears to be?
Sure, thank you. So, couple of things, 3.5 years back when we were actually sitting on a drawing board and thinking of what Akasa would be, our CEO Vinay Dubey had a great vision. He comes from Delta Airlines, a lot of global, international, national experience. I think few things we were very, very clear while we were creating the chart. One of them was that the customer centricity has to be number one. So therefore, and what is it, the customer centricity that attracts people to come in, to fly with you and to come into your country? One of the thing is empathy. So I think the entire ethos of when we were creating this airline was how empathetic we are to our people who are working in. And then from there it flew into, so therefore people who will serve it, they should be wearing a shoe with laces because they are comfortable, vibrant clothes, comfortable clothes. Menu should not be restricted to 1 or 2 items. We have 45 items of menu. So it started from there. But to come specific to your question on what the airlines can do, I think the airlines have to get this customer centricity at the core of its operation. Now, whether it means how do they get the boarding in experience, how do they get the checking in experience, the digital experience, and the less and less face times, etc., a seamless free flow of information and getting in and out. I think those are some of the things that the airlines have to provide. Therefore, customer centricity based on digitization, based on AI techniques. I mean, currently, it's very, very interesting. We are thinking of, can we create an AI mechanism on hyper focused passenger services? So that, last time, for example, you come in and you say, okay, I had the chicken sandwich, wasn't that good. The next time you come in, the person at the boarding gate, the person serving you should have that information to say, I'm so sorry, sir, you did not have the right experience. I hope this time you have a better one. So that kind of a hyper-focus, personal focus on the customers is something that the airlines, at least our airline, and I'm sure the others are also focusing on. And it has to be backed up by the AI, it has to be backed up by the digitized, tools that we can create. The other is, of course, the connectivity. How are we looking at the international destinations coming in and then going and getting connected
Correct.
to the various areas? So therefore, a very strategic, thoughts on how your network should look like, and have you studied your network and the customer movement exceptionally well? I think these are some of the things that go very well into addressing that.
Lakshya, we're going to move to you. You know, the minister said earlier, Rajesh said, no pressure. Matt, India's heritage and culture are, of course, something that fascinates the world, right? We have 43 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We're at number 6 globally, in as much as the UNESCO standing is concerned. Lots of very good quality historical forts, monuments, palaces, etc. Some great heritage hotels, many of which you run. How can we package this better? How can we get more attention from the world in terms of converting the attention into actual people coming into India for the heritage experience?
I thought there were going to be easier questions. We had the deal behind it. You're putting me on the spot. But first and foremost, I think we need to give credit where it's due. I think that's very, very important. And I think we should acknowledge our strengths and then acknowledge our weaknesses and work towards it. I think as far as heritage hospitality is concerned, first and foremost, I think right in this hall, right in this hotel, right on this stage, I think there are certain things that need to be credited, appreciated, and applauded, which is that our Indian company today has knocked the doors of the World Forum as far as heritage hospitality is concerned. That is none other than the Tatas and the Taj Group of Hotels. Today that has... देखिए, ये सोच के लिए और संस्कृति के लिए तालियां बहुत कमजोर थी. मैं कभी ताली बजाने के लिए नहीं बोलूंगा. But today, we are exceptionally proud of the fact that Indian hospitality has on the World Forum emerged. Today, the Taj has emerged as the strongest brand in the world. We've always spoken about the fact that, yes, hospitality originates from India. We are great people at hospitality, but it's always been talk. Today, this company has allowed the world to experience who we really are. It takes me back to my classroom when I was studying hospitality in Australia, and there were about 16 of us sitting in a room. And the professor walks in, very stern professor, 16 of us, looks straight into my eye and says that this Indian gentleman who's in this hall does not need to participate for the first 5 minutes of the lesson. With this face, it doesn't help anyway. And then him making this statement wasn't to further help anyway. And that kind of really made me nervous. उस समय पे वो feeling आती है ना कि धरती फटे और मैं अंदर जाऊँ. So it was literally, that is what was going through my head, my soul. If people believe that I have one, it did go through, But the first thing he said was that we will begin this lesson from learning how to smile. And that is when it took exactly the same amount of time, for it to penetrate, that an Indian does not need to be taught what genuinity actually means.
Fabulous.
वो एक बहुत खूबसूरत कहावत है कि अच्छी सूरत को संवरने की जरूरत नहीं है, सादगी में ही कयामत की अदा होती है.
क्या बात है.
So, and I think being the brand ambassador, I hope I get a raise next time round for the Taj Group of Hotels world over. I'm only trying to butter my bread on the right side, but at the same time,
you have
say
to
the
make
right
up
thing.
your mind. 1 second. Outside, you said you were the butler.
Ji.
Now you're saying you're the brand ambassador, and you were
no,
looking for a raise on both positions.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, I think it's a matter of great privilege, for us as a family who's been floating around on this planet for 1500 years, and today being the brand ambassador for one of the greatest companies and the strongest brands in the world, for me, is a great achievement, and sharing an association of over 50 years with the Taj, and I think it runs in everybody's DNA. Now today, and what the minister also said, and what Mr. Chhatwal also mentioned, and I think this is where we need to take pride, this is where we need to take a leaf out of their book, is the fact that we need to be exceptionally happy about our culture. That is where we need to be focused on. The technicalities, the AIs, technology, we are all for it. But the one thing I will certainly say, being an Indian at heart and being in the hospitality industry where it's a people-based industry, and I'm all for technology, don't get me wrong. But the one thing that I will certainly say कि सादगी थी, बंदगी थी, सरलता थी, जब तक Facebook और WhatsApp न थे, तब तक जिंदगी थी. So
क्या बात है. एक अलग से आपके साथ मुशायरा करेंगे सर.
But No, but when you're talking about heritage hospitality, something that you can touch, something that you can feel, something that you can see, and an experience that you can take back. That is what we're really talking about. When my dad started the hospitality, when he was in the hospitality industry or started it in the early 60s, running hot water literally meant...
Running with hot and water. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and that's the journey today we have come through, and that is what we need to appreciate. And the last thing that I really wish to say is that we need to be in sync with all of this. Now that we sync with all of this put together, which is that SYNC. Somebody need to help me with my English. Is that correct? SYNC?
Absolutely.
If we don't SYNC sync with each other, we will SINK.
Yeah.
So the
I knew
time
that
has
was
come.
coming when you asked the spelling.
Yeah. So the time has come when we wake up to this, let's start syncing with one another. आलोचना करने वालों के कभी स्मारक नहीं बने. जिन लोगों ने काम किया उनको हमेशा याद रखा गया. So let's work together. Let's build the culture. Let's build the heritage. Let's build the industry, and let's build the nation.
I have to thank whosoever suggested your name for the panel. Yeah. And I suspect it was you, Puneet. Sandeep, I'm going to come to you. We're going to change the track a little. At Visa, you have such a vast data of spending patterns, consumer behavior on spending. Tell us a little bit about where and what kind of spending is the foreign traveler doing when he comes to India, and what can we do to make it better?
So, great question, Mandeep, but boy, that was a tough act to follow, but I'll try my best. So look, we have access, obviously at an anonymized level to a treasure trove of data because most foreign travelers who come into this country obviously use their cards. And at an aggregate level, we do get to see where are these travelers coming from, what are they spending on, how long do they stay in the country, what are the categories that they gravitate to depending on which country, which demographic, which event they come for. So there's a lot of data that we have, and obviously from a source standpoint, the US continues to be the largest source for tourists, followed by UK, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, France, Germany, so on and so forth. More interestingly, you see some very interesting patterns that, obviously countries which have an Indian diaspora footprint, when people come from those countries, they tend to spend on things like jewelry and apparel, which is quite intuitive because India is also a place where a lot of people come for weddings and family occasions and things like that. And another interesting statistic we saw the other day was that, people from countries like Australia, New Zealand tend to stay much longer. So they have much extended durations of stay in India. And I could go on, but really there's a lot of data that we capture. But what is more important are some trends. So health, tourism, wellness tourism is something that is on the uptick. And this is a huge opportunity for the government to leverage on that whole Ayush initiative to grow this segment further, because it's also a little distinctive. It's something that we can offer apart from culture and cuisine as sort of USPs for India. And I just want to close by saying that as Visa, we are super keen to partner with the government at the central level, the state governments, tourism boards, most importantly with all my friends sitting here from the OTA business, travel, hospitality industry, airlines, and really slice and dice this data to make us better and more efficient in how we market ourselves. And last but not the least, people also, tourism is a zero-sum game at some level because, a family would typically take an international holiday once or twice a year. So we are also competing. So not only do we have the data about what people are doing in India, but also how to benchmark that data versus other tourism destinations and what are we competing against. So lots to do, a great start, but a long journey ahead. And I think as Visa, we are deeply committed to this partnership with all possible stakeholders because we really want to see India quadruple from, and even if Puneet's numbers were discounted or not discounted, to become a top 10 global destination, we'll probably need to go 4x or 5x of where we are, right? 40, 50 million plus.
Right.
And that's a huge task, and we really want to contribute to that.
Okay. Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, we've been asked to wrap up. When this whole concept started, we were told it will be a panel discussion for 1 hour. Then it changed to 40 minutes. Then it changed to 30. When we came on stage, the timer showed 25 minutes. 5 people on the stage. We've gone through 1 round of questions. We had 3 rounds. But that's it. We've been, very aggressively being told that wrap up, please, because the next speakers are here. So I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully that this conversation and all of us who are involved with tourism are very emotionally involved with it. We'll continue to spread the message, but you heard from all the experts, and I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much.